The Holy Bible is a book that is many things to many people. It touches on every facet of our life. It contains stories of endearing love and of monumental sacrifices. It is a book of good deeds and some horrible atrocities. It contains commandments as to how we should morally and spiritually lead our life. It contains illustrations and parables to better explain things that we find confusing. It can be inspiring. It can be full of hope, but it can also be frightening. But however you describe it, it comes back to being the greatest book ever written. And we should listen. We should listen to what it has to say. For example, did you listen to the message in today's gospel? It was presented in beautiful prose and contains actual words spoken by Christ. You know, I can almost picture being on a hillside back when Jesus walked the earth and hearing him gently tell his disciples, "Be ye merciful as your Father is merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven." These few words, so succinct, yet covering a multitude of things: mercy, judgment, condemnation, and forgiveness. All separate areas, but all interrelated. Now, for certain, time does not permit me to explore each of these different areas. So today, I will concentrate on the subject of judgment. And that is in the context of us judging others. To begin, we are told, "Do not judge, lest you be judged." But what does that mean? We cannot help judging others. It seems that it's inherently within us. As we watch the acts of others, we cannot help but forming opinions about them. Do not judge does not mean that we should close our eyes or ignore people's faults or sins. But we are to look at people in charitable ways, looking for the good as contrasted to the bad. How many times have you looked at someone and you judge them on their appearance, on the clothes they wore, the color of their skin, their nationality, and so on? It is this type judgment that God frowns on. Again, we must seek the good in others. Now this we must absolutely understand. By critically judging others, we are putting ourselves in the place of God. And that, my friends, is wrong. He is the one true judge, the only perfect judge. And it is only He who has the power to save us or to destroy us. You see, our judgment is really of little consequence. In the overall scheme of things, we are not qualified. We're not qualified to judge anyone. Because, you see, we don't know them intimately. And by that I mean, we do not know the true causes of any faults we perceive they have. We do not know their troubles, their heartaches, the sorrows they bear, nor the wounds of their soul. No. Only God knows such things, and it is His sole prerogative to judge them. The person we know most intimately is the one staring back at you in the mirror. Judge him. Judge him before judging others. I said in today's gospel, why beholdest thou the speck in thy brother's eye, but perceivest not the beam in thine own eye? In other words, the faults that you find in others may be overshadowed by the faults that you yourself possess. In Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 5, he writes, therefore, judge not before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of men's hearts. If we knew the hidden things, we might react quite differently, perhaps with pity and compassion and understanding to those that we judge. I remember reading a story about a man who was judged unfairly, partly because of the way he looked and acted, but more so for the things he said. They were radical and threatening, and he was a nuisance to his community and was even judged by some to be very dangerous. Eventually, through misjudgment of the man, he was convicted of several crimes, and he was sentenced to death. He was executed while he was still only in his 30s. He had been judged by his fellow man, judged to the point of being put to death. That man was Jesus, the Son of God. How wrong we were in our judgment. So you can see the dangers in condemning one without knowing who they really are. As suggested in the story I just told, the word judgment is perhaps a misnomer. The word we should be using is misjudgment. We see only one side of the person that we judge. There may be another side that is altogether different. Have you ever looked at a tapestry? Well, what do you see? On one side, you see a tangled mess of yarn that has no rhyme or reason. But if you turn it over, you see a beautiful pattern or a beautiful scene. And so it is with most of the persons that we judge. Now, just for a moment, let us look at what causes us to judge so harshly. Well, it is a combination of things. Mostly, I think it is a matter of pride, one of the 7 deadly sins. You see, unconsciously, we want our own skills, our own accomplishments, our own possessions, our own power or position to be superior to all those around us. And indeed, this may be hard to hear, hard to swallow, but it is true. And it certainly applies to me as well as to you. And when this pride takes over, we see everyone and everything in a different light. If one is seen as a threat to our pride, we begin to judge them. But it is a foolish thing to do. And it is a grave sin. And have you ever noticed that the one who is doing the judging suffers more than the one being judged? Probably because of a feeling of guilt or inflicting damage to another. Now, another close companion to pride is envy, another deadly sin. And envy has a strange effect on our moral vision, for it dims the beauty in others, and it exaggerates their blemishes and their faults. As said by J.R. Miller, a Christian evangelist, in writing a dissertation on judging others, he said, "It is better to have eyes to see beauty rather than to see blemishes. And it is better to see roses rather than thorns." And finally, I want you to remember what is said throughout the Bible. Love thy neighbor as thyself. How can we do that if we are constantly judging each other in a critical light? Well, we can't. We are to love each other and make each other better persons. We must be more like God. We need to relate to others as Christ did to his disciples, out of love. Gentleness produces gentleness. Love produces love. So, how do we summarize all that has been said today? First, do not judge others, particularly in a negative light. By doing so, again, you are putting yourself in the place of God. Seek out the good in others. Be merciful, compassionate, understanding, and loving in assessment of your fellow man. And like I said, judgment most times leads to misjudgment. Do not allow pride and envy cause you to judge others. It is you who suffer more when you criticize others. Finally, if you wish to judge someone, look in the mirror and find the faults of that person staring back at you. Yes, our Bible teaches many lessons, many truths, all directed to preparing us for the entrance into the kingdom of heaven. But my friends, if we do not abide by them, they have been written in vain. Amen.